Clothes worn by a prisoner of war in Vietnam were priced fairly high for an apparel worn in prison. The prisoner, who is the father to the guest, was a thud soldier called Lieutenant Colonel Robert L. Strim.
Any other interesting people that he was with in prison?
Oh, absolutely. He told me a great story that the first time he ever laughed in jail was a joke that John McCain had tapped through the wall. They were sharing a wall while they were both in solitary confinement while they were in Santé.
Alongside the clothing was a picture of the family, which was taken the moment the family first saw their father when he exited prison. The picture was taken by Sal Vader, who won an award for the photograph.
The photograph was given to me personally by Sal in 1990. He signed it Lori with best wishes, Sal Vader.
And the value of these items.
So, as an auction estimate, it would be in the $2,500 to $3,000 range, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. However, the historical value on this is absolutely priceless, and what a moving story it is.
During a garage sale, this odd-looking table was purchased by the owner for nearly $25, but its value goes beyond the owner's wildest imagination. The table was produced by John Seymour and Son, a company in Creek Square, Boston. The company is known for producing furniture for wealthy households during the federal period.
When we first saw you, my heart started going like this. Feel it. You can feel it right now. It's going bump, bump, bump.
Yes, right.
And mine did too.
Is your heart beating so fast because the table is worth so much?
I think Les and I both feel that this piece in the open marketplace on a good day would be in the range of about $200,000 to $225,000.
Wow.
Okay?
But it didn't end there. Later on, it sold at Sotheby's for $541,000. What an investment! Skateboard bought at random for $5 turns out to be a historic skateboard. The skateboard was made by Bafney, a skateboard making company in the 1970s. Bafney skateboard was the first board used by Tony Hawk, pioneer of modern-day skateboarding.
That is amazing. And I mean, when it comes to skate culture, you really couldn't ask for a more historically significant skateboard.
Skateboards are usually valued based on their condition, and for this man's skateboard, which has some imperfections, the value placed on it was $200 to $400. Still a great profit for him.
What? That's like a 6,900% increase on my the original cost of that. That's awesome. Papa's got a brand new bag, I'll tell you what.
Porcelain dish that was a Christmas gift from a blind uncle turns out to have a value worth 6 figures. The dish is a 16th century Chinese Celadon charger that was brought from Japan, where the guest's uncle worked as a civilian director. Japanese people were huge collectors of Celadon pieces for centuries. A fun fact is they valued Celadon porcelain even more than gold. The value placed on the charger was $80,000 to $120,000. However, the item surpassed this value in 2022 and sold for $390,000 during an auction organized by a company named Doyle.
Right. Really? And it's under my bed all the time?
I think under the bed is not such a bad place to keep this. It's been kept beautifully and it's been kept safely.
That
But you may
overwhelms
wish
me.
to rethink that under the bed.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Dawn, I appreciate you coming in today, and we have what looks like just an average man's briefcase.
From being John F. Kennedy's shoe shiner to owning one of his briefcases, a niece of a cobbler, Dawn, brought a briefcase that belonged to John F. Kennedy. Jeff Kennedy visited her uncle's cobbler shop on Beacon Hill in Boston for weekly shoe shines. One day, he left his briefcase at her uncle's shop, and when he came back for the next shoe shine, her uncle tried to return it, but Kennedy told him to keep it.
So we're going to take a look inside just to see what we have. And you can see inside we have the compartment where his lunch was.
Yes.
And his papers. You got that nice little deli smell, so we know it was a liverwurst sandwich. Could have been olive loaf, but not sure.
The briefcase had Jeff Kennedy's initials engraved on the outside, and inside it were some handwritten notes. Our uncle had later gifted the briefcase to Dawn's father, who usually took the case to school to flaunt it. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Sadly, when he took it to a history class, someone took the letters out of the bag. Those letters might have been worth a lot of money. Apparently, several briefcases belonging to Jeff Kennedy have come up at auction before, and one even sold for $700,000. But what is this particular briefcase worth?
Probably put an estimate somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000.
Wow.
It's a great piece of American history. The fact that JFK actually held the handle. He had his lunch in here.
Guest received a painting in 2011, which was made in 2010 by an old friend of hers named Frederick J. Brown.
I met Fred in college, and it was in the late 60s, and most black people were wearing afros and dashikis, and Frederick wore suits and ties.
Frederick Brown is a visual artist from Chicago. His art pieces are notable and are displayed in various prestigious museums. Brown is mostly known as an abstract expressionist painter, but has also done some portraits. His love for jazz music equally influences his art making. The painting he gifted the lady is a series of 4 pieces titled Going Home. It included his signature and an inscription of her name.
It's 4 pieces as a complete set. Retail value would be $20,000.
That sounds good. That's very good.
Must feel incredible being friends with one of the greatest NBA coaches of all time, Red Auerbach. The man's wife brought in a team-signed Celtics photo in basketball. Red Auerbach was an American basketball coach who served as a head coach in the National Basketball Association. He is notably known as the head coach of the Boston Celtics. Red drafted Chuck Cooper, the first African-American to be drafted into the NBA. The photo was taken around 1956 to 1957, and the basketball was signed around 1957 to 1958.
Each one of these at $10,000 to $15,000.
No, you're kidding.
Her husband will be stoked upon hearing this. An 8-feet-long bat weighs almost as heavy as its value.
I want to try to lift it. So we're talking what, 30 pounds?
I'm thinking about 30 pounds.
30 pounds, and your normal bat is 32, 36 ounces?
The bat had been hanging in the guest grandparents' sporting store in San Mateo. It was given to Ted Williams, one of the greatest American baseball players. During his time, Ted received several awards, such as American League Most Valuable Player Award.
Well, I think why it was made is, we have some clues here on the bat, and if we take just a quick look, it says the Quadricentennial, 1834-1959, and then we have Paul Bunyan. And then on the other side, we can see it says, presented to Ted Williams, baseball's Paul Bunyan.
Value placed on this bat was $8,000 to $12,000.
All right, that's wonderful.
She bagged a $1 million win with her father's 4-piece jade collection. The historic jade collection included a bowl which is referred to as Mogul style and is 18th century Chinese, a jug with a ruby stone on the top, also Mogul style of the 18th century, a carved animal called a bixie that is used to ward off evil, and a big bowl.
This one has an inscription in the bottom that is imperial. It has a cyclical date there, which they're kind of hard to read because they run in 62-year cycles. But it also has the mark by imperial order, rather than just made. So it was made specifically for the emperor himself.
Oh, fantastic.
Let's see what they are worth.
Oh my gosh.
For a total amount of between $710,000 to $1,070,000.
Damn.
Not only did this man live under the same roof as Colonel Sanders, he also received his iconic white blazer as a gift. Colonel Sanders is the founder of popular fast food chicken restaurant, Kentucky Fried Chicken. He and the guest had become acquainted after he lived in the basement of the guest family house for a period of time. Sanders had given the guest an autographed framed photo of himself, which the appraiser said would sell for $300 to $500. The main item, which was the suit, had a label that showed it belonged to the mogul, and this was valued at $30,000 to $50,000. This item was a basket woven by an American visual artist, Carrie Bethel, who started weaving baskets at age 12. The basket was made between 1955 and 1960.
This woman who was such an unbelievable weaver lived in a shack. She had no running water, no electricity.
What?
And she just did her weaving when she could during the day.
Who would have thought a little basket like this will have a value between $75,000 to $150,000?
Oh.
Yes. Now.
What?
You heard me right.
Oh my gosh.
This guitar had been played by the owner since he was 10 years old, and he discovered its amazingly high value after bringing it to the Roadshow.
It's you here at 10 or 11 years of age?
That's my dad, and that's my teacher. I guess I was around 13 or 14 when I started actually making some money at it. Went on from there. I was on the road for a few years with a few bands, and now I'm here.
Yeah.
The guitar was made by John D'Angelico in the 90s. D'Angelico is known for his handmade archtop guitars and is the founder of the company named D'Angelico Guitars Company. Such a sweet melody is almost equivalent to the guitar's value of $30,000 to $35,000. You might have found an item that was left behind by former house occupants, but was it as valuable as this guest's item? This man's mother found an object in the attic of the new house her parents bought in New York. The object was a Penobscot carved root club made by Penobscot native people in Maine.
In the old and early days, prior to colonization, clubs such as this were used as war clubs, and smaller versions with creatures from the forest were used by shaman or holy men during their ceremonial rites. As local native life changed over the centuries and men were no longer able to go to war or to hunt widely, they began to work with travelers and fishermen and hunters who would come up on vacation. And they would make objects such as this to trade.
The club was made from birch trees and were believed to be releasing the spirits of the animals that were killed with the club. The club was equally used by the people for religious ceremonies. It was appraised on the show at $2,000 to $2,500.
I think on a retail basis, this club would be very much appreciated. I think perhaps in the range of $2,000.
We love to see the shock on people's faces when they hear that their item has a value worth millions of dollars.
Seriously?
So was the case with the owner of this 1904 Diego Rivera painting.
It was hanging behind a door.
The painting was bought by the great-grandparents of the man and had been in the family for about 80 years. It was a 1904 Diego Rivera painting named El Albanil. Diego Rivera was a prominent Mexican painter whose artwork served as a ground for the establishment of the mural movement in Mexico. As of 2018, Rivera holds the record for the highest amount in an auction for an artwork by a Latin American artist.
My understanding of the painting's history is that it was painted in 1904 by Diego Rivera. And at that point, Diego Rivera, who is arguably one of the most important Latin American 20th century artists, was only 18 years old.
Diego Rivera makes a lot of money at auctions. Tell us, what is this painting worth?
Be putting a retail estimate on the piece of between $800,000 and $1 million.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Oh my gosh.
After hearing the worth and importance of the painting, the owner of El Albanil felt that it was best if the painting was kept in a museum for people to view. The painting is currently displayed at San Antonio Museum of Art in the United States. Collection of license plate numbers seems like a joke, but when you hear the value, you might start second-guessing. The family of this man maintained the license plate number 1583 from 1915 till 1967.
You hit 1949, but your next plate jumps to 1951.
Here's what the appraiser had to say about the collection's value.
The world of auction today, conservatively for the group, we'd see this bring in the $2,000 to $3,000 range.
Wow.
In terms of registering a vehicle today, it is so hard to get a low-digit plate. It's so awesome to hear that you still have it.
Yeah, we enjoy it. My granddaughter's in line for the next
That's
set of
awesome.
Kitten figurines that have been passed down by 3 generations of women have a distinct look. The current owner mentioned that she inherited them from her mother, who also inherited them from her own mother. The lady found the figurines scary as a child, but found the value even scarier. The kittens were made around 1910 by a firm called Gebruder Hubach in Liften, Germany, known for producing bisque dolls. The head of the figurines is made of bisque, while the body is made of paper match. The kittens were a cute and complete set, which is rarely seen.
The set, they're worth about $7,000.
I don't know what to say to that. That's amazing.
Are they still freakish to you?
Well, yes, actually. Maybe they're even a little more freakish since I wasn't expecting that at all.
Do you have a brooch? If yes, does it cost thousands of dollars? This butterfly brooch was purchased at an estate auction by the guest for his wife. The brooch is of opal stone, decorated with ruby stones and yellow gold. Its origin is unknown, but the appraiser guessed.
Looks English to me, looks Victorian, probably 1875 through the early 1900s.
For its value, the brooch will fall within the range of $3,000 to $5,000.
Wonderful. Excellent.
It's not strange when people purchase designer products, but when they purchase it directly from the maker's hands, then that's something totally fascinating. This man's childhood viola that was purchased by his grandfather was manufactured in 1967 by Ansaldo Poggi, a renowned instrument maker from Italy. Ansaldo was a perfectionist and made sure his instruments came out looking superb.
He was a hard-working maker. This instrument shows that level of perfectionism. On the inside, on this side of the viola is handwritten Ansaldo Poggi,
Yes.
Fece in Bologna, anno 1967. That's his handwriting. There's no question about it.
Yes.
The other thing that I really love, in the 1920s, he started branding his violas, A. Poggi.
Ansaldo made only 41 violas during his years, and the value for such a rare and magnificent instrument is between $200,000 to $330,000.
I was thinking, several tens of thousands maybe.
Such price value will definitely make anyone's day like this viola's owner. A doll kept in the family for 50 years. It must be extremely precious to them. The doll was bought for the guest by her parents, but it wasn't until they passed that she got to keep the doll in her possession. Schmidt et Fields are the makers of the doll, and it is called a Bibe doll. It was made with bisque during the late 19th century in Paris. The value for it was $16,000 to $18,000.
$18,000.
Oh my goodness.
I've even seen them at auction sale for more.
Wow.
Very desirable, high-end doll.
Well, I guess I shouldn't have laughed.
A photo of Marilyn Monroe, which was brought to the show, was autographed by the actress herself. The framed photo was inherited by this woman from her family. The photo was taken by lead photographer Frank Paoli in 1953 for the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blondies, where Marilyn was the main character. The portrait is indeed a ravishing one.
In the past 2 years, a few have sold for as much as $50,000 and $63,000 that were, I would say, comparable in quality to yours. So if it did do well in excess of that estimate, I wouldn't be surprised, because there are only so many of these out there that are authentic. And again, having your story is pretty fantastic.
My goodness, yes.
If I were to insure it, I would probably put no less than $50,000 on it.
Original Apple I computer manual shows how far the Apple series has come since it was first released. Apple is an American multinational technology company founded by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs in 1976. The company is known worldwide and is said to be the biggest company by market capitalization. The woman who brought in the manual hit the jackpot after she went through the trash and saved it from disposal. The value was indeed shocking.
One day I was at work, and I worked at Apple.
and the facilities crew was cleaning out some closets, and they had a great big old dumpster. So I got it dumpster diving. That's what I mean. I hate to say it, but it's true.
The pamphlet was valued at $10,000 to $15,000.
That is more than surprising and more than I ever would have thought.
The family of this man who died in 1794 believes that his portrait haunts them. Perhaps he has some unfinished business on Earth.
I would swear that I could hear him open and close the front door, walk up the stairs, and walk down the hall, and I would think it was my father or my mother coming home.
The man, Aaron Delano, was a sea captain during the 18th century. His portrait that was brought to the show had been in the family for years. It was an oil canvas with no visible signature on it. The artist of the piece remains unknown. According to the appraiser, the painting at auction would go for $8,000 to $10,000.
That's good. It's exciting.
Detailed carvings on this cane lured this man into making a purchase online. Was this a smart move? On the body of the cane were carvings of animals that are indigenous to the people of North America. However, the maker of the cane is unknown, making it difficult to determine where exactly the cane is from.
That it had horned toads and it had alligators. And the alligators are more eastern Gulf U.S. And horned toads are arid desert. And they meet in Louisiana, so I thought maybe it was a Louisiana cane.
It's hard to pinpoint it that way. Some of these are the experience of the carver, where he grew up, where he is now.
It's migrated.
Yeah, it's a combination sometimes.
After spending $250 to buy this item, the owner got quite a high profit with the recent value of $6,000 to $8,000.
Oh.
Almost everyone seems to be in the habit of collecting items, and so did the uncle of this lady who collected baseball series programs from 1905 to 1954. The owner, who is also a baseball fan, had received the collection from her uncle. One of the programs was for the Second World Series tournament, which was held in 1905. The program is a rare item that has survived for 100 years.
It's 1905 World Series program. They gave these out at the Polo Grounds.
The show's appraiser valued the collection for $12,000.
Wow, $12,000?
But 15 years after the show, it was reappraised at a value of $17,800.
I brought this pin that my uncle, Shiro, made in the internment camp at Poston.
According to the National Archives, he was in a relocation camp from 1942 to 1946. Prior to the camp, Shiro was living on Terminal Island, which was located in California. Shiro's niece brought a piece which he had made in an internment camp at Poston during World War II. Her piece was in the form of a bird, and he created it out of sagebrush. The frame included a camp story, a picture of the camp, and Shiro's picture. She also brought a picture of her uncle receiving his internment order from a soldier to evacuate the island and go to the internment camp. The value of the item is not very high, but the emotional value is even more.
Was to come up for sale, I would expect to see a retail value of $1,000 to $1,500.
While the couple were in Hong Kong during his birthday in 1964, his wife bought him a Rolex day-date model as a birthday present. The watch was manufactured by the Swiss watch designer Rolex. The model of the watch was later known to be the presidential model. The guest had wanted the yellow gold type, but it was out of stock, so he got the one of 18-karat white gold. The show's appraiser noted that just the piece of foil that came with a watch would fetch $500 and above. The man's watch still had the complete set it came with, and because of this, the value was extremely high.
Market, because it's a whole complete set, and the watch is in such great condition, a retail price on this is going to be $20,000.
Oh, my. Well, it kept up with the times.
A clown-faced automaton that was once displayed at Mrs. was inherited by the guest from his mother. The automaton was made by French man Leopold Lambert, who worked for the largest automaton maker, Gustav Vici before setting up his own company in 1886 and began producing his own pieces. The automatons were made to serve as decorative pieces for wealthy families back in the day. The guest automaton was fairly bruised, giving it a value between $10,000 to $15,000.
Wow, that's crazy.
This guest had 78 Hall of Fame players autograph his Louisville Slugger bat in the early 80s. That's quite a number. Among the signatures on the bat were prominent baseball players like Ted Williams, Joe DiMaggio, and Willie Mays. The autograph-covered bat was valued at $4,000 to $6,000.
Okay.
The gift that was bought during a family trip turned out to be worth thousands. His father secretly bought a gold watch during their trip to Europe and gifted it to his wife for Christmas. The watch was made by Rolex, a Swiss watch designer and manufacturer based in Geneva, Switzerland. The engraving of the watch was done by hand and is fully 18-karat gold. It also had VV's diamond stones around it, which were 2/3 in karat.
This watch would probably be priced somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000.
Wow, I thought it would be $1,000.
2 jerseys belonging to some of the best baseball players in the game were acquired by the owner when he served as a clubhouse boy for the rookie Yankee team. One jersey belonged to Whitey Ford, an American baseball pitcher who played for New York Yankees, and the second jersey belonged to Yogi Berra, a baseball catcher who played mainly for Major League Baseball. Whitey's jersey, which had been altered, was valued at $30,000, while Yogi's jersey was as high as $100,000. Make the value of both at a whopping $130,000.
I wouldn't know. I really don't know what to say about that. That's amazing. It's amazing. I knew they were going to be somewhat valuable, but I didn't realize.
Would you rock a bat necklace if it cost thousands of dollars? This guest on the show inherited the necklace from her grandmother, who received it as a gift from Mrs. Clark of the Clark sewing family. It is an Art Nouveau jewelry made out of cast sterling silver and sea pearls. The Art Nouveau style was championed by Samuel Byng in 1895, but the trend soon came to an end when World War I began. The appraiser placed a value of $4,000 to $6,000 for the necklace.
I'm shocked. Thank you, Grandma.
Son of artist Demetrios Jameson brought in one of his wonderful artworks. Demetrios' son said that his father made the painting around 1947 when he was a student at Washington University. Demetrios was a student of Max Beckmann. He derived some of his style from Max's teachings. The painting brought by his son is that of a lady figure, which is a detailed piece of art that depicts surrealism. The painting was valued at $15,000.
Oh, great.
I think he was a very important artist.
Well, I agree. I think so as well.
Well, you're a good son.
If you are into scary decor, then you might be fascinated by this piece. The piece is a product of the Weller pottery that is meant to serve as a humidor for cigarettes. The owner of the piece is a family member of Samuel Weller, who founded Weller Pottery in 1872. It is 1 out of the 6 that was produced by the company, making it a rare piece. On the show, it was valued between $2,000 to $3,000, but this dropped to $1,000 to $1,500 in 2018. Maybe not many people are into scary decor after all.
I don't think I'd want to meet him in a dark alley.
He bought a Rufino Tamayo lithograph from an antique dealer, but had little knowledge about its worth. Rufino Tamayo is a well-known Mexican painter who won awards such as Gold Medal of Merit in the Fine Arts of Spain. Tamayo used few colors for his artworks because he had the belief that it gave the art greater force and meaning. Aside from the can top that somehow made its way into the lithograph, the guest painting was in great condition. Its value was $4,000 to $10,000, but in 2022, this topped up to $10,000 to $15,000. If you went shopping for house decorations, will this piece attract you? The family of this lady felt it was pleasant to hang this gargoyle pottery in the living room of their home. The pottery is from the Renaissance revival movement that began in the early 19th century. Renaissance Revival period was a rebirth of 16th century Italian Renaissance. The gargoyle pottery was valued between $2,000 to $3,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's wonderful.
This man purchased the autographs of horror movie actors from a dealer for $2. His profit was quite impressive. The signatures include that of Lon Chaney, who is fondly called the man of 1,000 faces because of his versatility in movies, Dracula's main character, Bela Lugosi, also Lanchester, main actress in Bride of Frankenstein, and signatures of the cast of House of Dracula. The collection's value was $2,500 to $3,100.
So, yes? Well, I would say you made a monstrously good deal.
Stick around to see other incredible items on the Antiques Roadshow.